Welcome to another powerful episode, where we dive deep into the principles that shape the very fabric of our lives. Today we're talking about something that many people overlook, yet it's at the heart of every great success story, the law of action. Now here's the thing. I know we've all heard about the importance of positive thinking. And yes, having a vision, a clear intention, that's vital. But let's get real for a moment. No matter how strong your vision is, no matter how much you focus on what you want, if you're not taking action, it's all just a daydream, right? Imagine this. You're sitting there, you have a grand idea, a goal you want to achieve. Maybe it's a career breakthrough, maybe it's a healthier lifestyle, or maybe it's a dream you've held in your heart for years. But if you just sit there, waiting for the universe to magically bring it to you without lifting a finger, what happens? Exactly nothing. The universe responds to momentum. It rewards movement even if it's small steps, and that's where most people miss the mark. The law of action is that unseen force that bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. In my experience, the moment I started acting on the things I envisioned, that's when the doors began to open. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes the actions were small, insignificant even. But every step forward, no matter how tiny, was a step closer to the reality I wanted to create. So, my friend, if you take away one thing from this episode, let it be this. Action is the catalyst. It's the spark that ignites your dreams and transforms them from thought to reality. You are the one who holds the power to change your life. Not just through thinking or hoping, but through action. Now, before we go further, if you're enjoying this content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you join this growing community of seekers and dreamers. And don't forget, this video is part of our playlist, The 12 Laws That Govern the Universe. You definitely don't want to miss the next one. Stay tuned. Now that we've established how crucial action is, let's dive even deeper into the concept of alignment between thought and action. This is where things get truly powerful. You see, it's not just about running around and doing things for the sake of being busy. No, the universe responds to intentional action. Actions that are fully aligned with the thoughts, desires, and intentions you hold within. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. If your thoughts are on one frequency and your actions are on another, what do you get? Static, chaos, frustration. You're out of tune with your own desires. But when your thoughts and actions align, it's like turning the dial just right. Everything becomes clearer, smoother, and you start to notice that your efforts are moving you in the exact direction you want to go. And here's something I've learned from my own experience. There have been times when I was working hard, really putting in the effort, but it felt like I was getting nowhere. I was constantly frustrated. Why? Because my actions weren't aligned with my deepest desires. I was acting out of fear, out of scarcity, out of what I thought I should be doing, not from a place of genuine connection to what I truly wanted. But when I started to take aligned action, everything changed. It wasn't just about the amount of effort I was putting in, but about the quality of the action I was taking. Every step I made felt intentional, purposeful, and it created this ripple effect where the right opportunities began to appear. It was almost as if the universe was meeting me halfway, saying, "You're on the right track. Keep going." And that's something I really want to emphasize to you. When your thoughts and actions are aligned, you're not forcing things anymore. You're in a state of flow. Have you ever experienced that? When everything just feels right? That's the magic of alignment. It feels effortless yet powerful at the same time. So, the next time you're about to take action, ask yourself, does this align with my true desires? Is this bringing me closer to what I really want, or is it just a distraction? Because when you act in harmony with your intentions, you're unstoppable. Let's dive into something that often gets overlooked but is absolutely crucial: the power of initiative and movement. You see, we often wait for the perfect moment to take action, right? We wait for the stars to align, for the right circumstances, for some sort of sign from the universe that tells us, now is the time. But here's the truth: waiting is the enemy of progress. In my experience, the moment I stopped waiting for the perfect conditions and started taking action, even if it was imperfect or messy, that's when things really began to shift. Momentum is a powerful force. Once you start moving, even with small steps, you begin to create a ripple effect. Each action leads to another, and before you know it, doors that seem shut begin to open. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly appear. Here's the catch though: initiative is scary. There's always that fear of failure, of things not working out as planned. But let me tell you something. Movement is what separates those who dream from those who actually achieve. It's not about being ready, it's about getting started. Think about it. How many times have you held yourself back, telling yourself, "I'll do it when I'm more prepared," or "I'll act when the timing is better"? But that moment never comes, does it? Because the perfect conditions don't exist. What exists is the power of initiative. the willingness to step into the unknown, to move even when you're unsure of the outcome. I've seen this in my own life. The times when I hesitated, waiting for everything to be just right, were the times when I stayed stuck. But the times I took bold action despite the uncertainty were the times when magic happened. The universe rewards movement, not hesitation. And here's the beauty of it: you don't need to know the whole path. You just need to take the first step. That first, sometimes terrifying, step is what sets everything in motion. And once you're in motion, you'll find that the next step reveals itself, and the one after that. The journey becomes clearer as you move forward. So, if you're feeling stuck or unsure, remember this: action creates clarity. You don't need to have everything figured out to start. Just move. Take initiative, no matter how small the step may seem. It's in that movement where the magic unfolds. Now, let's get real for a moment and talk about something we all have to face: responsibility. This is where the law of action truly puts the power in your hands, but it also comes with a certain weight. You see, it's not enough to just understand that action creates results. The deeper truth is that you are responsible for those actions. No one else can take them for you. No one else can make those decisions or walk that path on your behalf. And I get it, that can feel overwhelming at times. Here's the thing: we live in a world where it's so easy to point fingers, to blame circumstances, or even other people for where we are in life. But the moment you start taking full responsibility for your actions, your life changes. It's like flipping a switch. When you stop waiting for someone else to save you or for external conditions to magically improve, you realize that you hold the key to everything you want to achieve. In my own life, there have been moments where I felt stuck. I'd look around and think, why isn't this working out? Why am I not where I want to be? And then it hit me: I wasn't taking responsibility for my own actions. I was waiting for external forces to somehow change my situation, but the truth is, it all came down to me. My decisions, my actions, my ownership of where I was in that moment. And you know what? Taking responsibility isn't about blaming yourself for every little thing that goes wrong. It's about recognizing that you have the power to change things, to steer your life in the direction you want. That's liberating, isn't it? Because when you fully embrace this, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the creator of your own reality. I'm not saying this is easy. It's not. It requires facing hard truths about yourself and your life. But there's incredible power in that honesty. When you accept responsibility, you're no longer waiting for life to happen to you, you're making life happen. So ask yourself, are you taking full ownership of your actions? Are you consciously deciding to move toward your goals, or are you passively waiting for something to change? The moment you step into that responsibility is the moment you begin to take control of your destiny. And that, my friend, is where true transformation begins. Now, let's talk about something that often feels simple but is deeply powerful: the importance of setting clear goals. You see, when we talk about the law of action, one of the most fundamental principles is knowing exactly where you want to go. Because here's the truth: without a clear destination, your actions can feel scattered, unfocused, and ultimately ineffective. Think of it like this. Imagine you're driving a car but you have no idea where you're headed. Sure, you're moving, but are you getting closer to what you truly want? Probably not. That's why clarity is everything. Clarity gives direction. It helps you focus your energy, your actions, and your decisions towards a specific outcome. In my own experience, I've seen this play out time and time again. There were moments in my life where I thought I was working hard, I was doing all the things, checking off the tasks, putting in the hours, but because I hadn't set a clear goal, I felt like I was just spinning my wheels. And that's frustrating, right? You're taking action, but it feels like nothing is happening. But when I sat down, got specific about what I wanted, and really defined my goals, that's when everything shifted. Suddenly, my actions had purpose, and each step I took brought me closer to that vision. So, here's something I want you to really think about. What is it that you truly want? Not just a vague idea, but a crystal clear vision. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What would achieving that goal mean for you in your life? Because when you get specific, you give your mind, your body, and the universe a clear target to aim for. And let me tell you something from personal experience: vague goals lead to vague results. If you want to achieve something meaningful, you've got to get specific. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, your health, whatever area of your life you want to transform, clarity is key. When you set a clear goal, something magical happens. It's like the universe conspires to help you get there. You start noticing opportunities you hadn't seen before. You begin to attract the right people, the right situations, and the right resources. Your mind becomes focused, and your actions align with that clear intention. It's almost as if by simply defining your goal, you've already started moving towards it. So ask yourself, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve, and what does success look like for you? The clearer you are, the more powerful your actions will become. And once you have that clarity, there's no stopping you. Because when your actions are aligned with a clear goal, every step you take is a step toward making your dreams a reality. Alright, now that we've talked about setting clear goals, let's move on to something equally important: creating a strategic plan. You see, having a clear vision is powerful, but without a roadmap to get there, it's like knowing your destination but not having a GPS to guide you. And that's where planning comes in. Here's something I've learned: a goal without a plan is just a wish. I used to think that having the right intention was enough to get me where I wanted to go. But time and again, I realized that without breaking that goal down into actionable steps, it remained just that, a distant idea, something that I aspired to but couldn't quite reach. Planning is like giving your goal legs. It takes something that exists only in your mind and translates it into the real world. And when you have a plan, you're not overwhelmed by the size of the goal, because now you know the steps you need to take to achieve it. Step by step, day by day, your actions start building toward that vision. But here's the tricky part. A good plan requires both flexibility and discipline. You need discipline to stick to it, but you also need to be flexible enough to adapt when things don't go as expected. Because let's be real, things rarely go exactly as planned. Life throws curveballs, challenges arise, and sometimes the path you thought you'd take isn't the one that will get you to your goal. In my experience, the times when I didn't have a plan were the times when I felt the most lost. I had this big, exciting vision, but no concrete steps to bring it to life. And that led to frustration. But the moment I started mapping out the journey, everything changed. Suddenly, I had clarity. I could see the next step and the step after that. And the best part? Each small action I took gave me momentum. It didn't feel like I was chasing something impossible anymore. It felt like I was building something real, brick by brick. One of the most empowering things about having a plan is that it keeps you grounded. Even on the days when you feel unmotivated, tired, or unsure, your plan gives you direction. You don't have to figure out every single thing all at once. You just need to follow the next step. It simplifies the process and removes that overwhelming feeling of, where do I even start? So here's what I want you to consider. What's your plan? What are the steps that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be? And are you willing to stay committed to that plan even when things get tough? Because that's where most people give up. They hit a bump in the road and think it's a sign to quit. But those bumps? They're just part of the journey. Think of your plan as a living thing. It's not static. It can evolve as you learn and grow. But without that initial plan, without those steps laid out in front of you, it's easy to drift, to lose focus, and to let your dreams slip away. So my advice: don't just dream. Plan. Map out the steps. Know what you're working toward every day. And trust that with each small action, you're getting closer to that big vision, even if it doesn't always feel like it. Because that's how you turn dreams into reality, one strategic step at a time. Now that you've got a plan in place, let's talk about the next crucial step: taking immediate action. This is where most people get stuck, and honestly, I've been there too. We create these beautiful, detailed plans, and then we hesitate. We wait. We get caught up in this cycle of, I'll start tomorrow, or I need to do a little more research first. Sound familiar? But here's the truth: there's no perfect time to start. Waiting for the ideal moment, for all conditions to be just right, is a trap. Life doesn't work that way. In fact, the perfect moment is the one you decide to take action. It's the moment you choose to start, even if you're not fully prepared, even if you feel some doubt. Action creates momentum. And momentum is the fuel that turns your dreams into reality. Let me share something personal. I used to be a perfectionist when it came to starting anything new. I'd plan and plan and plan, thinking that if I just prepared enough, I'd avoid any mistakes or failures. But the reality is, nothing truly moved forward until I just started doing the work. Even when I felt uncertain, even when I thought I might mess up, the act of starting brought me closer to where I wanted to be. It's through action that we learn, adjust, and improve. You don't need to have everything figured out right away. You just need to begin. The key is to understand that small steps count. Too often we think action means taking giant, life-changing leaps. But in my experience, the most profound changes come from the small, consistent actions we take every day. It's not about the grand gestures. It's about doing something today, something tangible that moves you forward, even if it's just a little bit. And this is where I see people get discouraged. They take one step and they don't see immediate results, so they give up. But that's not how the universe works. The first action is like planting a seed. You don't see the tree the next day, but that doesn't mean growth isn't happening beneath the surface. Every time you take a step, you're building something: momentum, energy, progress. You just have to trust the process and keep moving forward. There's another layer to this. Taking action teaches you things that planning never can. You learn what works and what doesn't, you gain experience and you develop resilience. And here's the best part: action builds confidence. The more you do, the more you realize that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. You stop being paralyzed by fear or doubt because you know that no matter what happens, you can adjust, adapt, and keep going. So ask yourself, what action can you take today? What small step can you make that will bring you closer to your goal? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It just needs to be something. Because when you take that first step, no matter how small, you break the cycle of inaction. You create momentum, and that momentum, it's everything. It's what transforms your dreams from ideas into realities. Trust me on this, don't wait. Start now. The perfect time is right now. Even if you don't feel ready, take that first step and watch how things begin to unfold in ways you never expected. Let's talk about something that's absolutely critical on this journey: persistence and adaptation. Because here's the truth: no matter how clear your goals are, no matter how perfectly you plan or how committed you are to taking action, things will go wrong. There will be setbacks. You'll hit roadblocks. You'll face obstacles that seem to come out of nowhere. And this is where many people stop. They think, maybe it's not meant to be, or I guess this is a sign to give up. But here's the thing I've learned over and over again in my own life: the road to success is rarely a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, detours, and even dead ends. And the people who make it to their goals, they're the ones who don't let these challenges stop them. They keep going. They adapt. They stay persistent even when the road gets tough. Persistence is one of the most underrated qualities when it comes to achieving anything meaningful. You might not be the most talented person in the room. You might not have the best resources or the most experience. But if you have persistence, if you refuse to give up, no matter how many times you get knocked down, that alone will carry you farther than almost anything else. Think about it like this: failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Every time you encounter a setback, you're learning something valuable. You're discovering what doesn't work, what needs to be adjusted, or where you need to focus your energy differently. Failure is feedback. It's not the end, it's a redirection. In my own life, I faced moments where I felt like everything was falling apart, like no matter what I did, I couldn't break through. But when I look back now, I realize those were the moments that shaped me the most. Those were the times when I learned how to adapt, how to rethink my strategies, how to push through when everything seemed to be working against me. And that's the key: adaptation. Persistence doesn't mean stubbornly doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It means staying committed to your goal but being flexible in how you get there. It's about recognizing when you need to pivot, when you need to change your approach, and when you need to try something completely different. Here's a personal example. There was a time when I was working on a project that I was so passionate about. I had this clear vision, a solid plan, and I was putting in the work. But no matter what I did, it just wasn't coming together. I hit setback after setback, and I started to doubt whether I was even on the right path. But instead of giving up, I decided to adapt. I asked myself, what's not working here? What can I change? And by making those adjustments, by being willing to shift my strategy, the project finally took off. That's what persistence and adaptation look like. It's the ability to keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. It's about trusting the process and understanding that success often requires you to grow, evolve, and adjust along the way. So, here's what I want you to take away from this. Don't be afraid of setbacks. Don't let challenges convince you that your dreams aren't possible. Instead, use those moments as opportunities to learn, to grow, and to adapt. Keep your eyes on the prize, but be flexible in how you get there. Because the road may be bumpy, but with persistence and adaptation, you'll make it to your destination, stronger and wiser than when you started. Alright, now we've covered persistence and adaptation, but there's something else that ties everything together: how the law of action integrates with other universal laws. This is where things get really fascinating, because when you start to understand how these laws work together, you begin to see the bigger picture of how the universe operates. Let's talk about one of the most well-known laws, the law of attraction. You've probably heard the phrase, like attracts like. It's the idea that the energy you put out into the world is what you attract back into your life. But here's where most people miss the mark. The law of attraction on its own isn't enough. It's not just about sitting back and thinking positive thoughts, hoping everything will magically align. Thoughts are powerful, yes, but they need to be paired with action. That's where the law of action comes into play. Think of it like this. The law of attraction is like the blueprint, the vision of what you want to create in your life. But the law of action? That's the construction, the actual building of your dreams. You can't build anything just by looking at a blueprint. You need to take those plans and start doing the work. It's in the doing that the magic happens. In my experience, this is where the real transformation occurs. When I started to combine clear intention with focused action, everything began to shift. It wasn't just about thinking positively, it was about moving in alignment with those thoughts. That's when I started seeing results. It's like the universe meets you halfway when you take that first step. And then there's the law of cause and effect, another one that works hand in hand with the law of action. Every action you take creates a ripple, a cause that sets off a series of effects. This is a fundamental truth in life. You get out what you put in. If you're taking deliberate, positive actions, you'll see positive results. If you're not, or if you're taking action out of fear or negativity, the results will reflect that too. I've seen this in my own life time and time again. The moments when I was intentional with my actions, when I took steps that were aligned with my goals and values, the universe responded in kind. Opportunities appeared, doors opened, and things started to fall into place. But I had to take that first step. I had to create the cause in order to experience the effect. And let's not forget the law of free will, the idea that we all have the power to choose our actions. No one can make us act. No one can force us to take a step forward. That's on us. And while that can feel like a lot of responsibility, it's also incredibly empowering. You are the one who decides what happens next. You are the one who chooses to take action, or not. And those choices shape your reality. What's beautiful about all of this is that when you start to see how these laws are interconnected, you realize that you are always co-creating with the universe. Your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, they all work together to shape your experience of life. And once you truly understand that, you begin to act with more intention, more purpose, because you know that everything you do matters. So here's my take. Don't think of the law of action as a standalone principle. See it as part of a greater whole, working in harmony with these other universal laws. When you align your thoughts, actions, and intentions, when you understand how your actions ripple through the universe, that's when you start to move through life with a sense of power and clarity that can't be shaken. Trust me, when you put it all together, when you take action with intention, knowing that you're supported by these universal forces, there's nothing you can't achieve. The universe is always responding to you, always in motion, waiting for you to make the next move. Now here we are, the conclusion. But really this is just the beginning. Everything we've talked about, the power of action, persistence, adaptation, and how all the universal laws tie together, leads us to this final truth. Trust the process. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a journey, pushing forward with my goals, and hit moments where I thought, is this even working? Am I on the right path? And I'm sure you've been there too. You take all the right actions, you stay committed, but the results don't always show up right away. That's when doubt creeps in. That's when the temptation to quit becomes the loudest voice in your head. But here's what I want you to remember. Just because you can't see the results yet, doesn't mean they aren't happening. Trusting the process means having faith that all the actions you've taken, all the steps you've followed, are working beneath the surface. Just like a seed planted in the soil, it takes time for it to sprout. You water it, give it sunlight, and for days, maybe weeks, it looks like nothing is happening. But deep down, growth is happening where you can't see it. And one day, seemingly out of nowhere, that seed breaks through the soil and begins to grow into something real, something tangible. That's exactly how life works. Your consistent actions are creating that growth, even when it feels invisible. And this is where so many people give up. They lose faith just before the breakthrough. They walk away just when the results were about to show. But the universe has its own timing, and part of manifesting your goals through the law of action is trusting that process, even when it's difficult. From my own experience, I've learned that patience is one of the hardest things to master. We live in a world of instant gratification. We want everything now. We want to see immediate results, and when we don't, we assume something's gone wrong. But trust me, the greatest rewards come to those who don't rush the process. Those who understand that the steps they're taking today might not bear fruit tomorrow, but they will. If you stay the course, if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, the results will come. And let me tell you, when they do come, it's worth every moment of waiting. Every setback, every doubt, every challenge you overcame along the way will feel like part of the bigger picture. You'll realize that the journey was just as important as the destination. Because it's not just about reaching the goal, it's about who you become in the process. It's about developing the resilience, the strength, and the trust in yourself that comes from sticking to your path no matter what. So, as we wrap up, here's what I want to leave you with. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting that every action you take is moving you closer to your dreams. Even when the road is unclear, even when it feels like progress is slow, trust that you are exactly where you need to be. The universe is always working with you, responding to your energy, your intention, and your actions. The journey you're on is unfolding exactly as it should. Your only job? Keep taking the next step. Don't stop. Don't quit. Because one day you'll look back and realize that every small action, every moment of doubt, every challenge you faced was leading you to something greater than you ever imagined. Trust the process, and let your actions be the foundation of the incredible life you're building. That's how dreams become reality.